Good day everyone, this is Alvin again from the Philippines and welcome to my top 10 favorite national costumes for Miss Universe Philippines 2024. Welcome! So 2 days ago, the National Costume Competition of Miss Universe Philippines 2024 happened and we were able to witness all the candidates wearing different national costumes made by the different designers from probably their own localities. And the theme of the national costume is flora and fauna. That's why we have witnessed that all of the costumes were all flowers and different species in their respective locations. And after looking at all the national costumes that were presented, there were actually a lot of amazing costumes, but I only have to narrow my personal list into top 10. So I know you have your own favorites, so let's go ahead and talk about my personal favorites, my top 10, and let's compare if we have the same list of favorites and whether your favorite made it in my list or not. So let's begin. Starting with my number 10, Miami. May Yasol. Her costume is called the Tree of Diversity. I am not sure if anyone feels the same or if you feel the same way as I did, but I believe that her costume was one of my favorites and one of the costumes that I personally love. I love the details. I love the contrasting side where the other side showcased the fig trees, which is one of the inspiration of the costume, while the other side showcased the diverse ecosystem. I also love the other look of the costume, especially when she flipped that round thing around her. I love it. I love it very, very much. Number 9, Albay. Elaine Bernales. Although we have to admit the fact that it was quite a struggle for her to walk in that costume, but we also cannot deny that it is one of the most beautiful costumes that we've seen on the show. The craftsmanship and the artistry on that costume is undeniable. Each detail on the inspiration, which is the Rafflesia flower, was just unbelievably stunning. Number 8, the United Kingdom. Christina Chalk. The removable part of the costume was stunning. The flower details were impeccable. It looked realistic in a gigantic version. However, the wearable costume looked as magnificent and as stunning as well. I am impeccably impressed by even the tiniest details of the headpiece and each and every part of the costume that she wore. And to me, her costume screams celebration and gives that festive vibes. Number 7, Naik. Mary Rose Guiral. The costume was inspired by pawikan or turtles. Personally, I am in love with the costume. She has given me the goosebumps, and of course, by looking at it, she's given me the goddess of the turtles vibe. I think that costume is one of the most solid costumes made because each detail were spectacular. I also love the shiny and polished effect of the costume, and those bubbles were beautiful and added some more elements to the whole presentation. And then after her presentation, I just noticed that there were also a lot who have bubbles as well, but for her, to me, it added some more elements to her presentation. Number 6, Bohol. Bianca Gaviola. What I love about the costume of Bohol is that of all the costumes that were presented at the event, her costume is one of the costumes that I would definitely say is recognizable. I mean, you can immediately say that it is Bohol. I adore those little tarsiers on the brunches, and they look so adorable and well made. And the chocolate hills being added, which is also a tourist spot in Bohol, which was added on the train of the gown and the costume, was genius. I think her costume perfectly depicts Bohol as Philippines' first UNESCO Global Geopark. So well done to them. Number 5, Davao City, Maria Isabella Pelayo. I just love how this costume appears majestic and enchanting at the same time. I also love the description that was read by the host because it really perfectly matched the presentation. Of course, majority match, but for her, it helped us truly understand the costume, and it made me appreciate the artistry behind it, and I am in love with how she pulled the back part of the costume, and especially with the reveal of that eagle on top. I think the poses that she made at the end of the runway was just outstanding. I am just in awe by all of the incredible details of that costume. Number 4, Tacloban, Tamara Oier. I am extremely fascinated by her costume. This was inspired by the monitor lizard. I mean, to me, just on a personal commentaries, the dress and the back piece look absolutely stunning, but I have to say, it is the addition of the monitor lizard that makes the overall costume wow and elevated the overall impact of her presentation. Additionally, she has presented and perfectly executed how it is to be executing her costume. So well done to the Tacloban as well. And she made it in the top 3, so well done. Top 3 based on the official judging at that event. My number 3, which of course didn't make it in the top 3, is Siargao, Joselle de Ocampo. The costume wants to raise awareness of the protection of marine life, and I am loving the costume so much. The crab costume was just so entertaining and fascinating to watch. I mean, it was beautifully made, and I also love the tiny details in the costume, including those things on the headpiece. It was well executed as well and beautifully presented. I love the back part as well, because there were some costumes where when they turn around, the back part were ignored or doesn't go along with the costume. But for Siargao, everything just worked perfectly together. There is cohesion in all parts of the costume, so I loved it very much. And undoubtedly, my personal favorites, one of the clear standouts. So for my choice, Siargao is in my top 3. Number 2, Southern California, Janette Hammond. Inspired by the corals of the Tubbataha Reef, I am beyond amazed by the details of the costume. Honestly, I was even considering to put her as my first. So for her and whoever it is that is in my first place, the difference is just very, very close. I believe the costume perfectly represented the beauty and the diversity of the coral reefs in the Tubbataha. Janette looked gorgeous in her costume. It's as if she is the goddess or the guardian of these reefs. I also wanted to emphasize all of those details that were added on the dress. One of the challenge of putting so many details on the dress is that there is a possibility that it may look messy, but for this one, wow. I mean, I have no words at how they have placed and put everything perfectly together. Amazing. What a masterpiece. But my choice for the best in national costume from Miss Universe Philippines 2024, my number 1 goes to Iloilo City, Alexi Brooks, inspired by the spider locally called as ugto-ugto. I think there's nothing to argue at this point, because Iloilo City, in my opinion, is my choice for best national costume, best in details, best in presentation, and best in execution. First of all, the idea and the inspiration was genius. I appreciated the fact that the designer went out of the expected typical costumes. Second, the details of the costume were outstanding. Aside from the color of the spider and how those spider legs were made as if they're actually moving, I love that. The web as well on her waist and on her neck piece, mind-blowing, amazing details. And finally, Alexi was so confident in her execution, and she should be, because that costume was wild. So undoubtedly a clear winner for me. Sure, number one. And that's also the reason why there's so many people reposting her performance, because unbelievable. Hopefully, this costume will inspire the next editions of pageants here in the Philippines to create something as amazing and out of the box as this. So that's it. These are my top 10 favorite national costumes from Miss Universe Philippines 2024, and I'm looking forward to know your thoughts and whether your favorite made it in my list or not. So don't forget to leave your comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and share the video as well. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe, because you'll be seeing more of these videos in the future. For now, thank you very much and have a wonderful day from the Philippines.